Pulp Crazy. I thought it would be interesting to take a look at an actual pulp magazine in this episode. In this case, it's going to be the September 1951 issue of Weird Tales. Weird Tales was known as the Unique magazine, and it published many fan-favorite writers, to include H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, Clark Ashton Smith, Manly Wade Wellman, and Robert Bloch, just to name a few. It's by far my favorite pulp magazine. I bought this issue several years ago. I was looking for Weird Tales issues to own at a pulp convention, Pulp Fest, and a lot of them were going for triple digits, and I was just looking to own an issue of Weird Tales, and luckily I stumbled upon this for $5. I thought that was a really good buy back then, and ever since I've never seen a Weird Tales issue this cheap before. So I'm glad I bought it. I was attracted by the cover. At first, just at a glance, I thought that this was some kind of undead Santa Claus with his sack of toys up here. But this is actually a pirate from the cover story. You can see it here, Gimlet Eye Gun by H. Bedford Jones. H. Bedford Jones is known as the King of the Pulps, a title that he shares with artist Walter Baumhofer. H. Bedford Jones had a pretty prodigious output. So let's take a look inside. Here's a shot of the spine. As you can see, it's red. Has the month and the year on there. The lighting's pretty bad here, so the camera didn't pick that up. Let's see, we'll get right to the table of contents. So yeah, you have Gimlet Eye Gun by H. Bedford Jones. This is actually a reprint from a 1945 issue of short stories. But to me, this was the centerpiece of the issue, The Metamorphosis of Earth by Clark Ashton Smith. I'll tell you what, I haven't read a bad Clark Ashton Smith story yet. I haven't cracked this one yet, and to be honest, I probably won't read it in here. I have some Clark Ashton Smith collections, several of them, that I'm sure this story is in, and I'll probably read it in there rather than further damage this pulp magazine. But it sounds pretty cool. I'll just read you the synopsis here. Such a process must inevitably be slow and gradual. Inland areas will change first, then eventually the seas themselves will be attacked. Life as we know it will vanish. And this is looks like a post-apocalyptic type story to me. So that sounds pretty cool, and that's a novelette along with H. Bedford Jones's Gimlet Eye Gun. And there's some short stories in this issue too. Rapport by Mary Elizabeth Councilman. You have The Ring of Bastet. Now that's a Seabury Quinn, Jules de Grandin story. Now talk about prolific. Seabury Quinn was in more issues of Weird Tales than anyone else. And his character, Jules de Grandin, is pretty much a staple of Weird Tales. A few years back, I believe it was, let me see here, Nightshade Books published the complete Tales of Jules de Grandin. I believe it was in 5 volumes. So they're out there. If you like occult detectives, he's your guy. Him and Manly Wade Wellman's Silver John and John Thunstone. Those are pretty much like the 3 most famous occult detectives in all of pulps, I believe. The other one here is Camel Vengeance by Garnett Radcliffe. Church in the Jungles by Arthur J. Burks. Can't say I've heard of those two. A Square of Canvas by Anthony M. Rudd. This actually looks like it's a reprint from the 1923 run of Weird Tales. But here, we'll just flip through here so you guys kind of have an idea of what the inside of a pulp magazine looks like. And yeah, there's a good bit of ads in here, especially at the front. The Eerie, this is the letter column for Weird Tales where the editor and fans basically correspond with each other. They were popular in comic books too, probably up until the 2010s, and then once the internet message boards came, and that was pretty much the end of the letter columns for most comic books, for the big two, I would say. The Image and other independent comics still kept up the letter column tradition, though. But yeah, here's just people writing in and then the editor responding. And here's the cover story, Gimlet Eye Gun. Some artwork here. That's the thing about the pulps. The pulps were the precursor to comic books. So there is artwork in here, but it's not sequential art, and it's not going to be a whole lot. Maybe one piece of artwork per story usually. And here, as you'll see, as you notice here, 2 columns per page, 2 columns of text. Here's the next story here, Rapport. Looks like this guy has someone chained to a bed. I don't think that's gonna turn out very good. Doesn't seem to be liking that situation. Looks like actually Mr. Magoo might have him chained to the bed, so that's a little unusual there. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, yeah, here's the Ring of Bastet. Nice artwork there. And this is a Jules de Grandin story. Oh yeah, right there. Camel Vengeance. Nice image of a vulture. Looks like this takes place around the Red Sea, just at a quick glance. Whoa, this actually looks cool. Here, let's get acquainted. Over 400 pages of weird and supernatural adventures for only $1. Read below and rush your order in today. This is from 1951, so I doubt that this offer still stands. Reader Services Book Club. Oh, okay. And here's the Clark Ashton Smith story, The Metamorphosis of Earth. Just skimming through this, it has a little bit of a science fiction type feel to it. And Weird Tales did publish a bit of science fiction, but from what I read, a lot of the science fiction based stories really didn't go over too well. The Weird Tales readers really liked their fantasy, dark fantasy, weird fiction, Lovecraftian fiction. It looked like they tried to actually get a weird menace, weird scientist series going with Dr. Satan, and from what I read, the readership really didn't respond to that too well, which is a shame because Paul Ernst is a great writer. He's known for The Avenger, and he also wrote Dr. Satan for Weird Tales, and it just did not seem to tap into what the readership was looking for at the time. And going through here, this looks like it may be a little more science fiction than weird, just from some of these words I'm picking up skimming through. But I'll give it a shot. Like I said, I haven't read a bad Clark Ashton Smith story yet. And here's a crossword puzzle, weird crossword. Somebody filled it out, the previous owner of this magazine. Incineration of a corpse. Cremation, he got that right. Poe's ebony bird, raven. Ireland, Aaron. Snake-like fish, eel. Okay. Yeah, whoever filled this out, this person did a great job. He finished the crossword. Well done. This, I think, is one of my favorite images in the book. This is like something you would normally see in Weird Tales. Churches in the Jungle by Arthur J. Brooks. And looks like Lee Brown Coy illustrated this. That's a great illustration. I like it. Let's see here. Looks like this takes place in central Brazil. And here's that reprint from an earlier issue, A Square Canvas by Anthony M. Rudd. Like I said, I'm not really familiar with him. I'm trying to see what this is about, just kind of skimming through it here. Looks like something to do with an artist. And it may be modern I think this was originally published in 1923, if I remember correctly. So it may be modern to, that time. Everest Life and Casualty Company. Okay, so yeah, that seems to be, modern for the 1920s story. Oh, check it out, guys. For all you bodybuilders out there. Old bodybuilding ad. Let's see. Another bodybuilding ad there. You can kind of tell who the target audience of Weird Tales at this time anyway is. There's a lot of stuff geared towards guys and people that like to read. So I guess, that could be anybody. Here's some continuation from the Erie, some letters that are continued there. Books received. Are these book reviews? Nothing in depth, but they do give little blurbs there. And there's the back cover. Advertisement for some shoes. Oh, you could be a shoe salesman. Make money from your first hour. Oh, and you get a free selling outfit too to sell them in. So, doesn't sound like a bad gig. But there you go. That's the September 1951 issue of Weird Tales. I have a few other pulp magazines, about a dozen or so, but this is probably my most, I don't know what you would call it. This is like the crown jewel of my pulp magazine collection. I have other ones that I bought because the cover looked cool, and I have a couple issues of Argosy that I bought because I was interested in some of the interior stories. But overall, I would say this is my best pulp magazine that I wanted to show you guys to kind of give you an idea of what a pulp magazine looks like. And I should note that Weird Tales at this point was not the same magazine that it was in the past when it was edited by Farnsworth Wright and, H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, and Clark Ashton Smith were prevalent in its pages. As you could see here, we had 2 reprint stories. That kind of goes to show you that maybe that the editorial budget wasn't very high. Rather than commissioning new stories, they were paying probably a lesser amount to reprint previously published stories, one even from a different pulp magazine. But I still like this issue, and hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at it with me. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm facebook.com/pulpcrazy, and I'm at pulpcrazy on Twitter and Instagram.